She threw her wedding ring at my face and said, "I miss being single." I picked it up, said nothing, and called my lawyer. She had no idea what was coming. That ring, white gold, engraved "Forever Yours, June 7th, 2015, hit my cheekbone with a sharp sting, then clattered on the hardwood floor, rolled under the couch. I watched it disappear into the darkness beneath the furniture we'd picked out together at IKEA 6 years ago. The same couch where we'd fallen asleep watching movies, where Ethan took his first steps holding onto the armrest. I got down on my knees, found the ring, still warm from her finger. Jessica stood there, breathing hard, mascara running. "Did you hear me, Daniel? I said I'm done. I miss my life before all this, before you, before the house and the kid and the..." "I heard you." My voice came out flat, calm, too calm. She blinked, probably expected me to yell, to beg, to ask what she meant by all this, as if our 8-year-old son upstairs was a burden she'd grown tired of carrying. I stood up, held the ring between my thumb and forefinger. The engraving caught the light. "Rachel Morrison will be in touch," I said. Her face went white. "Who?" "My lawyer." I walked past her, grabbed my phone from the kitchen counter, opened my office door, the small room at the end of the hall that she never entered because it was full of my boring computer stuff. I stepped inside, locked the door behind me. Through the wood, I heard her, "Daniel! Daniel! You can't just... We need to talk about this." But we didn't need to talk, because for 414 days, 14 months, 1 week, and 6 hours, I'd been documenting every lie she told. Every night she said girls' night when her best friend was home with her kids. Every hotel receipt paid with our joint credit card. Every dollar she withdrew from our son's college fund to pay for weekends with a man whose voice I'd heard on recording saying, "I love you more than he ever could." She had no idea I'd been preparing for this moment for 414 days, 14 months earlier. March 12th, 2023, that's when it started. Not the affair. That had been going on longer. I'd find out later from her journal that it started in January, 2 months before I suspected anything. But March 12th was the first lie I could prove. It was a Thursday night. Jessica came downstairs in her good jeans, the ones she usually saved for date nights with me, and a black top I'd never seen before. Hair curled. That perfume that cost $80 a bottle. "Girls' night," she said, kissing my cheek. The kiss felt performative, like she was checking a box. "Sarah and I are trying that new wine bar downtown. Don't wait up." I smiled. "Have fun. Tell Sarah I said hi." "I will." She grabbed her purse, the expensive leather one I'd bought her for Christmas, and she left. Ethan was already asleep. I sat on the couch, the same couch where 14 months later she'd throw her ring at me, and I opened my phone, scrolled through Instagram without really seeing anything. Then Sarah Mitchell posted a story, a photo of her 2 kids in pajamas, milk mustaches, caption, "Movie night at home with my babies while this mama recovers from the worst head cold. Someone send soup." I stared at the timestamp. Posted 18 minutes ago, girls' night with Sarah, who was home, sick with her kids. My stomach dropped. I refreshed the page. Same post, same timestamp. Maybe Jessica meant a different Sarah? But no, Jessica only had one close friend named Sarah. Sarah Mitchell, who'd been her college roommate, who was Ethan's godmother, who'd never been anything but kind to me. I could have called Jessica right then. Could have said, "Hey, Sarah just posted that she's homesick. Did plans change?" But something stopped me. Some instinct. Some small voice that said, "Wait, watch. Don't let her know you know." So instead, I opened Amazon, searched voice-activated recorder, found one with good reviews, small, the size of a USB drive, could record for 20 hours on a single charge. Black, innocuous, $39 Blair 99. I clicked buy now, 1-day shipping. Then I went to CVS, the one that's open 24 hours, and I bought a wall calendar, the kind with big squares for each day, White background, $6.99. I drove home, hung the calendar on the inside of my office closet door where Jessica would never see it, and I took a red Sharpie and marked March 12th with a big X. Underneath, I wrote, GNW Sarah. Sarah, homesick, per IG. I told myself, 2 weeks. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize to the universe for being paranoid. If I'm right, I'll have proof. Jessica came home at 11:47 p.m. I heard the garage door, heard her heels on the tile. She poked her head into the living room where I was still on the couch, pretending to watch TV. Hey, you stayed up. Couldn't sleep, I said. How was it? So fun. That wine bar is amazing. You and I should go sometime. Sarah says hi, by the way. She smiled, that smile I'd fallen in love with in college. The one that used to make my chest feel too small for my heart. Now it just made me feel cold. Great, I said. I'm glad you had fun. She went upstairs. I heard the shower run, heard her singing. She always sang in the shower when she was happy. I sat there in the dark, and I thought about the red X on my calendar. The recorder would arrive tomorrow, Friday afternoon. The Amazon package came. I opened it in my car before I even went into the house. Small black device, magnetic backing, one-touch record button. I read the instructions twice, tested it. Playback was clear, picked up everything within 15 feet. That night after Jessica was asleep, I went out to the garage. Her car was still warm from the day. Silver Honda CR-V, the practical mom car she'd insisted on when Ethan was born. I got on my hands and knees, reached under the driver's seat, found a spot where the metal frame had a small ledge. Perfect. I pressed the magnetic backing against it. The recorder clicked into place. Hidden, secure. I activated it. The tiny red light blinked once, then went solid. Recording. I climbed out of the car, closed the door carefully, walked back inside. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from something else, some awful clarity. The kind you get when you're about to confirm something you desperately hoped wasn't true. I went into my office, opened the closet, looked at the calendar, one red X. I picked up the Sharpie and wrote today's date, March 13th, and underneath, recorder installed. God, I hope I'm wrong. Then I closed the closet door, went to bed, lay next to my wife, who smelled like her expensive perfume and betrayal, and I didn't sleep. I just thought, trust but verify. My father used to say that. He was a contractor, built houses for 40 years before he died. Trust your suppliers, he'd tell me when I was a kid, following him around job sites. But always verify the materials before you frame, because trust without verification is just hoping, and hope doesn't build houses. I was 12 when he said that. Didn't understand it then. I understood it now. 2 weeks, I told myself. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize. If I'm right, I'll have proof. 2 weeks turned into 3. 3 turned into a month. By April, the calendar had 12 red X's. 12 girls' nights in 4 weeks. 12 times Jessica came home smelling like wine and happiness, while Sarah Mitchell posted photos of her kids, her husband, her normal life at home. I started adding notes. GN Sarah, House Sarah, home per IG. GNW co-workers. Jessica's LinkedIn shows no posts about team dinner. Late meeting, office parking lot, empty per Google Street View timestamp. The recorder caught everything. Her voice bright and excited. Hey, I'm leaving now. He's already asleep. You know how he is with bedtime. A man's laugh, deep, warm. I can't wait to see you. A pause, then softer. I miss you. I know I just saw you yesterday, but I miss you. I listened to that recording 4 times before I saved it to a password-protected folder on my laptop. Labeled it April 03, 2023, evidence 01.mp3. Then I went downstairs, made Ethan breakfast, drove him to school, came home, went to my office, opened the closet, marked another red X. The calendar was starting to look less like a calendar and more like a crime scene. red X's scattered across weeks, annotations in my cramped handwriting, dates matched to recordings, times, locations. And every time I wanted to scream, every time I wanted to grab Jessica by the shoulders and demand the truth, I thought about Ethan, my son, 8 years old, who still believed his mom was perfect, who drew pictures of our family and hung them on the fridge with pride, whose world would shatter if I confronted Jessica without evidence, without a plan, without protection. So I stayed quiet. I smiled at breakfast. I kissed Jessica goodbye before work. I played trucks with Ethan before bed, and every night after they were both asleep, I went into my office, downloaded the day's recording, listened, documented, added to the file. For Ethan, not for me, not for revenge, not even for justice, for Ethan. Because whatever was coming, whatever truth I was going to uncover, I needed to make sure my son was protected when it all fell apart. Month 3, May 2023. Ethan started asking questions, not big questions, small ones. The kind an 8-year-old asks when something feels wrong, but he doesn't have the words to explain it. Dad, how come Mom doesn't do bedtime anymore? We were in his room, Spider-Man sheets, glow in the dark stars on the ceiling that we'd put up together when he was 5. His nightlight, a turtle that projected constellations, cast soft green light across his face. I sat on the edge of his bed, tried to keep my voice steady. She's been busy with work, buddy. Every night? Well, not every night. It feels like every night. He wasn't wrong. Jessica had missed bedtime 18 times in May. I knew because I'd counted, marked them on the calendar with a different color, blue for missed bedtime. The X's were red. The blue marks were starting to outnumber them. She's just got a big project, I said. It tasted like a lie. Because it was. Ethan looked at me with those eyes. My eyes, everyone said, the same hazel green. And he asked the question that broke me. Dad, did I do something wrong? My chest tightened. What? No, Ethan. Then how come she doesn't want to be here anymore? His voice was so small, so convinced of his own guilt. I put my hand on his head, smoothed his hair back. Buddy, listen to me. You are perfect. You didn't do anything wrong. This isn't about you, not at all. Do you understand? He nodded, but his eyes said he didn't believe me. Then why does it feel like it is? I had no answer, not one I could give him, not without breaking down, not without telling him the truth, that his mom was choosing someone else, someone who wasn't us. So I did what I'd been doing for 3 months. I lied. Sometimes adults have stuff going on that has nothing to do with kids, I said. Your mom loves you so much, and so do I. That will never change. Okay? Okay. But I could see it in his face. The doubt, the confusion, the small, horrible seed of self-blame taking root. I stayed with him until he fell asleep, watched his chest rise and fall, his small hand curled around his stuffed elephant, the one he'd had since he was 2. Then I went to my office, opened the closet, stared at the calendar. 3 months. 37 red X's. 22 blue marks. I picked up the Sharpie, added today's date, and underneath I wrote 4 words. For Ethan, not yet. Because confronting Jessica now, without enough evidence, without a strategy, without ensuring Ethan's custody and future were protected, would be selfish, would be about my pain, my anger. This wasn't about me anymore. This was about my son. So I'd wait. Document, build the case. However long it took. For Ethan, month 5, June 2023. I was paying bills online when I saw it. Ethan's college fund. The 529 account we'd opened when he was born. Jessica and I had been putting money in every month, $500 automatically transferred on the 1st. By the time he was 18, we calculated there'd be enough for 4 years at a state school. Maybe more if we were lucky. The balance should have been around $47,000. It was 20 boles a $300. I stared at the screen, refreshed the page. Same number, $24,300. $22,700 gone. My hands went cold. I clicked into the transaction history. Scroll down. Withdrawal, March 15th, 2023, $1,800 cash. Withdrawal, March 28th, 2023, $2,500 cash. Withdrawal, April 10th, 2023, $1,050 cash. Withdrawal, April 24th, 2023, $3,200 cash. On and on every 2 weeks. Cash withdrawals. In person at the branch. I counted them. 12 withdrawals over 3 months, averaging $1,800 each. All made by Jessica. Her name on every transaction. I sat there, the laptop screen glowing in the dark office, and I felt something crack inside my chest. Not my wife, not my trust, my son's future. She wasn't just cheating on our marriage, she was cheating our son out of his future. Every girl's weekend at the spa, $1,800. Every work conference at a beach resort, $2,500. Every romantic hotel package with champagne and couples massage, $3,200, paid for with money we'd saved for Ethan's education. I opened a new tab, logged into our joint credit card, started matching dates. March 15th, withdrawal of Woody Union $800. March 16th to 17th, charges at the Ocean View Resort. Room service, 2 notes Berlin. Spa package for 2, $440. Dinner at the hotel restaurant, $320. April 24th, withdrawal of $3,200. April 25 to 27, charges at the Grand Harbor Hotel. Romance package, $847. Champagne, $180. Rose petal turndown service, $45. She'd created a system. Withdraw cash so there's no direct paper trail. Use the joint credit card for business expenses that looked legitimate. Hotels in cities where she could claim conferences, restaurants she could write off as client dinners. But the math didn't lie. I went back to my office closet, opened the evidence folder on my laptop, created a new subfolder, financial theft, downloaded every bank statement, every credit card statement, every receipt I could find. Then I took the calendar off the closet door, grabbed a green highlighter, started matching withdrawal dates to red X's, March 15th, red X for girls' night, green highlight, April 10th, red X for late meeting, green highlight, April 24th, red X for weekend conference, green highlight, every lie, every theft, every dollar stolen from our 8-year-old son to fund an affair. The calendar looked like evidence from a detective show now. Red X, green highlights, blue marks for missed bedtimes, annotations in black ink, dates, times, cross-references. I took a photo, added it to the evidence folder. Then I went downstairs, made Ethan breakfast like nothing was wrong. Scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice. Jessica came down in her running gear. "Morning! I'm doing a quick 5 miles before work." "Sounds good," I said. She kissed the top of Ethan's head. "Love you, baby." "Love you too, Mom." She left. I heard the garage door close, heard her car start. And I thought about the voice recorder under her seat, recording every conversation, every lie, every time she told him she loved him in that voice that sounded so sincere. I looked at Ethan, syrup on his chin, swinging his legs under the table. He had no idea. I added it to the file. Month 7, August 2023. "I have a conference this weekend," Jessica said. "Digital Marketing Summit in Boston. I'll be back Sunday night." She showed me the itinerary, professional looking, conference schedule, hotel information, her company's logo at the top. "Okay," I said. "I'll hold down the fort." She smiled, kissed me. "Thank you. This is a big one for my career." Friday morning, she packed her roller bag, business casual clothes, laptop, the leather portfolio I'd given her for her birthday. "Text me when you land," I said. "I will." She didn't, but that was fine, because I wasn't expecting her to. Instead, I waited until Saturday afternoon. Then I did something I'd been planning for 2 weeks. I called the conference organizer. The number was listed on the summit website. "Hi, this is Daniel Harper. My wife is attending your digital marketing summit this weekend, Jessica Harper from ABC Corporation. I'm trying to send her some important documents, but I realized I don't have the exact conference center address. Could you confirm?" "One moment, sir." Keyboard clicking. A pause. I'm sorry, sir. I don't see a Jessica Harper registered for this event. Are you sure? She's with ABC Corp. Maybe registered under the company name? More clicking. I've checked our full attendee list. No one from ABC Corporation is registered. Is it possible she's attending a different conference? Maybe I got the dates wrong. Thanks for checking. I hung up, opened the credit card account, checked weekend charges, the Grand Harbor Hotel, Boston, check-in, August 11th, but not the conference rate, not a single room. Romance package for two, $847. I sat there, stared at the charge. Then I searched my email for the PDF she'd shown me, the conference itinerary, opened it, looked closely at the badge design. Something was off. The fonts didn't quite match. The logo resolution was low, like it had been copied from the internet and pasted into a Word document. I reverse image searched the conference logo, found the real website, downloaded their actual attendee badge template, different design, different font, different layout. She'd made a fake badge, printed it at home, laminated it, probably wore it around her neck for authenticity when she told me about the conference. The level of premeditation was staggering. I downloaded the credit card receipt, screenshot the fake badge, added both to the evidence folder, matched the dates to my calendar, another red X, another green highlight, another annotation, Boston Conference, no registration found, hotel, romance package, badge, fake. Sunday night, she came home. How was it? I asked. Exhausting, but amazing. I learned so much. There was this keynote about AI and marketing that completely changed how I think about our Q4 strategy. She was animated, excited. Her hands moved while she talked. She was a good liar, or maybe I'd just been a bad detective for the first 7 years of our marriage. That's great, I said. I'm glad it was worth it. Definitely worth it. She went upstairs to unpack. I heard her humming. I stayed downstairs, thought about the fake badge, the hotel package, the conference that didn't exist, and I thought, 2 more months, maybe 3, just enough to establish pattern of behavior, enough evidence that her lawyer won't even try to fight. Have you ever wanted to scream but stayed silent? That's not weakness. That's strategy. That's strength you didn't know you had until someone you loved gave you no choice but to find it. I opened my laptop, updated the evidence log, 63 red X's now, 34 green highlights, 47 recordings. The calendar was running out of space. Month 8, September 2023, Parent-Teacher Conference. Jessica had a client dinner, so I went alone. Mrs. Anderson, Ethan's 3rd grade teacher, met me in her classroom. Bright posters on the walls, alphabet in cursive above the whiteboard, small desks arranged in clusters. Mr. Harper, thank you for coming. Of course. How's Ethan doing? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Academically, he's excelling, reading above grade level. Math skills are strong. He's a pleasure to have in class. That's great to hear. But, she paused, chose her words carefully. I've noticed some changes in his emotional state. He's been withdrawing from social activities, spending more time alone at recess. And he's been drawing a lot. Drawing? Yes, I encourage it. Art is wonderful for processing emotions, but some of his recent drawings have concerned me. She pulled out a folder, opened it. This is from last week. She slid a piece of paper across the desk, standard white construction paper, 9 by 12 inches, crayons. The title was written in careful red letters at the top, When Mom is Happy. My throat closed. The drawing showed 2 figures, a woman with blonde hair, Jessica's blonde, a tall man with brown scribble hair, both smiling, big arcing smiles that took up half their faces, holding hands. And in the bottom right corner, almost hidden, a small blue figure standing in a window, stick arms hanging down, no smile, just a straight line for a mouth, a child watching from inside while the adults were outside, together, happy. That was Ethan. Mrs. Anderson's voice was gentle. He told me this is what makes his mom happy, being with the tall friend. He said she smiles differently when the friend is around. I couldn't breathe. Mr. Harper, are you all right? My voice cracked. I cleared my throat, tried again. Can I keep this? Of course, I made a copy for our files, but I thought you should see it. And Mr. Harper, if there's anything going on at home that might be affecting Ethan, our school counselor's available. For him, for both of you. Thank you. I took the drawing, folded it carefully, put it in my jacket pocket, drove home, hands shaking on the steering wheel, waited until everyone was asleep. Then I went to my office, closed the door, locked it, unfolded the drawing under my desk lamp, studied every crayon stroke, the careful way Ethan had drawn the blonde hair, the height difference between the woman and the man, the happy faces, and the small blue figure in the window, watching, alone, my 8-year-old son. He'd drawn the truth I'd been documenting for 8 months. He saw it all. Not the hotels, not the bank statements, not the fake conference badges, but the thing that mattered most. He saw his mother choosing someone else, and he saw himself, watching, wondering why he wasn't enough to make her stay. I put my head in my hands, breathed, for Ethan. This wasn't about me anymore. Hadn't been for months. This was about my son, who was processing his mother's betrayal in crayon drawings, who blamed himself, who stood in metaphorical windows watching his world change and didn't understand why. I took a photo of the drawing, added it to the evidence folder, created a new subfolder, Impact on Minor. Then I put the original in a plastic sheet protector, filed it carefully. Because this drawing, this innocent, devastating piece of construction paper, was going to end this. Not the recordings, not the bank statements, not the fake badges, or the hotel receipts. This, a child's truth, drawn in crayon, impossible to dispute, impossible to explain away. I updated the calendar, added today's date, and underneath I wrote, Ethan knows. He's been watching, he drew it. This has to end soon for him. The calendar had 73 red X now. I was running out of time. Month 11, November 2023. I was doing laundry. Jessica's gym bag was in the hamper. I'd learned to check pockets, check compartments, check everything. The main pocket had her usual stuff, water bottle, towel, headphones, but there was a small zipper pocket on the inside. The kind you'd miss if you weren't looking. I unzipped it. A phone fell out. Not her iPhone. A cheap flip phone. Silver. Scratched. The kind you buy at gas stations with cash. My heart stopped. I opened it. The hinge creaked. Old. Used. The screen lit up. No password. Text messages loaded. Hundreds of them. I scrolled to the oldest. January 12th, 2023. 2 months before I'd even suspected anything. Last night was perfect. Can't wait to see you again. January 18th. Counting down the days until Friday. I miss you already. February 3rd. He's traveling for work next week. We'll have 3 nights. Can you get away? February 14th. Valentine's Day. I know we can't be together tonight, but you're who I'm thinking about. You're who I want. I love you. March 5th. I'm going to tell him soon. I promise. I just need to figure out the right time. March 19th. He has no idea, and I know that makes me terrible, but I can't stop. I don't want to stop. On and on. 2,847 text messages, 10 months of messages. The affair had started in January, but she'd been planning to leave me since at least March. She just hadn't figured out how yet. I scrolled to the most recent messages from yesterday. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I told him I have a late meeting. We have until 10. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone. Sometimes I wish I could just leave. Take nothing, start over with you. But it's complicated. I stood there in the laundry room, holding this cheap burner phone, this physical evidence of a second life. She created an entire secret existence, a life where I didn't exist, where Ethan didn't exist, where she was free to love someone else without consequences. The phone smelled like her gym bag, sweat and lavender detergent, and underneath that, guilt, secrets, premeditation. I took photos of key text threads, screenshots of the message count, documented everything. Then I put the phone back in the zipper pocket exactly as I'd found it, left her gym bag in the hamper, went upstairs like nothing happened. And I thought about the timeline, January to now. 11 months she'd been actively lying, 2 months before I even started documenting, 13 months total. I'd been behind from the start, but not anymore. I updated the evidence folder, created a new section, burner phone, added it to the calendar, another notation, another layer of proof. 73 red X's, 47 recordings, 12 fake conferences, $23,000 stolen, one child's drawing, and now 2,847 text messages proving premeditation. I was almost ready. Month 14, February 2024. I needed a lawyer, not just any lawyer, someone who understood custody, who understood financial crimes within marriage, who would protect Ethan first and worry about my feelings second. Sarah, Jessica's friend Sarah, who'd become my ally after I'd quietly asked her about those early girls' nights, recommended someone. Rachel Morrison, she's tough, she's strategic, and she has kids of her own. She'll understand what you're trying to protect. I made an appointment. Rachel's office was downtown, 10th floor, clean, professional, framed degrees on the wall, photos of 2 teenage kids on her desk. She was 45, maybe, sharp suit, kind eyes. The kind of person who'd probably been underestimated her whole career and used it to her advantage. I brought everything. The 3-ring binder I'd been compiling for months. Black leather, 3 inches thick, tabs labeled recordings, financial, communications, witnesses, minor child. I set it on her desk. It made a thud. Rachel looked at it, then at me. Mr. Harper, tell me what I'm looking at. So I did. I told her about March 12th, 2023, the first lie, the first red X, about the voice recorder, the 47 recordings of affair conversations, about the college fund, $23,000 stolen, documented with bank statements and credit card receipts matched to dates, about the fake conference badges, the hotel romance packages, the burner phone with nearly 3,000 text messages, about Ethan, his drawing, his question, did I do something wrong? About the calendar, 73 red X's spanning 14 months. I talked for 40 minutes. Rachel didn't interrupt. She just listened, took notes. And when I finished, she opened the binder, started reading, flipped through pages, bank statements, transcripts of recordings I'd had professionally transcribed, screenshots of text messages, photos of the calendar. She got to Ethan's drawing, stopped, stared at it for 30 seconds. Then she closed the binder, looked at me. How did you not break? My throat tightened. I had to be the dad Ethan deserves. She nodded, once, decisive. Mr. Harper, Daniel, we're going to bury her case. This level of documentation, the financial theft, the impact on your son. She tapped the binder. This is the strongest evidence package I've seen in 15 years of family law. Something in my chest loosened, just slightly. What's next? Next, we serve her lawyer. We request mediation, and we present every single page of this. She paused. She's going to panic. They always do when they realize the other person wasn't just hurt. They were prepared. Good. Rachel smiled, not warmly, strategically. Trust, but verify, right? I blinked. My father used to say that. Smart man. She stood, extended her hand. Welcome to the fight, Daniel. You're going to win this. Not because you're angry, but because you protected your son, and that's what matters. I shook her hand, walked out of her office feeling something I hadn't felt in 14 months. Hope. Not hope that Jessica would change. Not hope that our marriage could be saved. Hope that Ethan would be okay, that I could protect him, that all of this, the recordings, the calendar, these sleepless nights documenting every lie would be worth it for Ethan. Month 14, March 2024, 1 week later. I found her journal. I wasn't looking for it. I was clearing out the bedroom closet, reorganizing, trying to keep busy while Rachel prepared the mediation paperwork. Top shelf, behind shoeboxes, teal leather journal, Target brand, the $12.99 sticker was still on the back. I opened it, her handwriting, loopy, confident, purple gel pen. I started reading. The early entries were mundane, work stress, thoughts about Ethan's school, complaints about me being too quiet or too focused on work. Then I got to April 15th, 2024, last month, and my blood went cold. If Daniel finds out, and he might, I've been getting sloppy, I need a strategy. The truth won't work. I'll lose everything. But if I flip it, if I say he was the problem, emotionally controlling, maybe even physically abusive, just once, maybe when he was drunk, who would they believe? The quiet computer guy who barely talks, or me, the woman crying in court about how isolated she felt, how trapped. I could make it work. I'd hate myself, but I'd keep the house, keep primary custody, keep my dignity. It's just insurance, in case. I read it 3 times. She'd planned to falsely accuse me of abuse, of violence, to cover her affair, to win custody, to destroy me. Not just unfaithful, not just a thief, a liar who would weaponize abuse claims to protect herself. I took photos of every page, especially April 15th, added it to the evidence folder. Then I texted Rachel. Found something. We need to talk. Today. She called 5 minutes later. I read her the entry, silence on the other end. Then, Daniel, this changes everything. This proves malicious intent, premeditated defamation. Send me those photos now. I did. Rachel? Yes? Every decision I've made for 414 days was for Ethan, to protect him from more lies, more damage. This, what she was planning, would have destroyed him. Do you understand? If I hadn't documented everything, if I'd confronted her at month 1 like a normal person, she would have done this, and I would have lost him. I know, Rachel said quietly. You did the right thing, every step. Now let me finish this. I hung up, sat there with the journal in my hands, and I thought about all the people who would have told me I was paranoid, that I should have just talked to her, that I was being controlling by documenting, by recording, by not trusting. But this entry was proof. I wasn't paranoid. I was right. And more than that, I'd protected my son from a woman who would have burned our lives down and blamed me for the fire. I put the journal in a gallon Ziploc bag. Evidence preservation. Added it to the binder. Then I went downstairs, made Ethan dinner, helped him with homework, read him a story before bed. And when Jessica came home from her late meeting, her hair slightly messy, her makeup refreshed, smelling like cologne that wasn't mine, I smiled. Good day? Exhausting, but yeah, good. I'm glad. She went upstairs, I stayed on the couch, and I waited. Because in 3 days, Rachel would deliver the evidence binder to Jessica's lawyer. In 3 days, this would all be over. In 3 days, she'd realize what was coming. March 20th, 2024, present day. The ring hit my face, clattered on the floor, rolled under the couch. I miss being single. I picked up the ring, looked at her. Rachel Morrison will be in touch. Her face went white. That was 3 days ago. 3 days since I'd called Rachel and said, it's time. 3 days since Rachel had called Jessica's lawyer and said, we need to schedule mediation, and you're going to want to see what we have first. 3 days since I'd made copies of the evidence binder, all 3 inches of it, and had it hand-delivered to Jessica's attorney's office. And now it was 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night. I was in my office. Ethan was asleep upstairs. The house was quiet. Then I heard it. Her car in the driveway. Fast, reckless. The garage door slamming open. Footsteps running up the front steps, not through the garage, like she'd forgotten how to enter her own house normally. Pounding on the door. Daniel! Daniel, open the door! I sat at my desk, didn't move. More pounding. I know you're in there. We need to talk. You can't just... This is insane. I stood, walked slowly to the front door, could see her through the frosted glass, pacing, frantic. I opened the door, didn't open the screen, stood in the doorway. Jessica's face was blotchy, mascara streaked, hair wild. She'd been crying, hard. Daniel, please, can I come in? No. We need to talk about this. About what your lawyer sent. It's not what it looks like. I almost laughed. Would've if it wasn't so pathetic. 47 recordings aren't what they look like. $23,000 in documented theft isn't what it looks like. Or maybe Ethan's drawing isn't what it looks like? She flinched. You brought Ethan into this? I didn't bring Ethan into this. You did. When you stole his college fund. When you missed his bedtime 64 times in a year. When you made him watch you choose someone else and blame himself for it. That's not... I never meant... Your journal says otherwise. I kept my voice level, calm. April 15th, you remember what you wrote? Her face went gray. You were planning to accuse me of abuse, of violence, to cover your affair, to win custody, to destroy me. I wouldn't have... That was just... I was angry. I was venting. I would never actually... You wrote it down. You planned it. And if I hadn't spent 14 months documenting every lie you told, you would have done it. I paused. Let that sink in. And you know what the worst part is? You would have won. Because I would have had no proof. No recordings, no calendar, no witnesses, just my word against yours. And who believes the quiet guy who barely talks? She was sobbing now. Daniel, please, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll stop seeing him. I'll pay back the money. We can... No. Please, I'm begging you for Ethan. Think about Ethan. That's when something inside me snapped. Not into yelling, not into anger, into clarity. I have been thinking about Ethan, I said quietly. Every single day for 14 days. Every recording I made, every receipt I documented, every lie I added to the calendar. Every night I stayed quiet instead of screaming. All of it was for Ethan, to protect him, to make sure when this ended, and it was always going to end, he would be safe from you, from your lies, from your plan to destroy his father. She reached for the door handle. Daniel... I put my hand on the screen door. Didn't open it. You threw your ring at my face and said you missed being single. You're about to get exactly what you wanted. I didn't mean it. I was overwhelmed. Your lawyer has the evidence binder. Mediation is Friday at 2 p.m. Rachel will see you there. You can't do this. I already did. I stepped back, started to close the door. Daniel, wait, please. I love you. I love Ethan. I made mistakes, but... You didn't make mistakes. You made choices. For 13 months, every withdrawal, every hotel, every text message, every lie to our son, those were choices. She was still sobbing, begging, saying my name over and over. I closed the door, locked it. Stood there for a moment, heard her on the other side, crying, pleading. Then her footsteps, running back to her car, the engine starting, tires screeching as she backed out. Silence. I went back to my office, sat at my desk. And I thought about the people who might say I should have let her in, should have heard her out, should have given her a chance to explain. But here's the thing about boundaries. They're not walls to keep people out. They're fences to protect what matters. And what mattered was inside this house. Asleep upstairs. Safe. That's all that mattered. Would you have opened the door, or would you have protected your peace? I know what I chose. Friday, March 22nd, 2024, 2 p.m., the mediation office was downtown. Neutral territory, beige walls, conference table, water bottles. a box of tissues that someone had the foresight to put at Jessica's end of the table. Jessica sat across from me. Her lawyer, a man in his 50s named Douglas, expensive suit, tired eyes, sat next to her. Rachel sat next to me, the evidence binder in front of her, that 3-inch thick black binder that had taken 14 months to fill. The mediator, a woman named Patricia, late 60s, seen-it-all demeanor, sat at the head of the table. "Thank you both for coming," Patricia said. "Let's begin by reviewing." Rachel interrupted, politely. "Before we begin, I'd like the opposing counsel to confirm receipt and review of our evidence package." Douglas cleared his throat. "We received it, yes." "And you've had a chance to review it with your client?" He glanced at Jessica. She was staring at the table. "We have." "Good." Rachel opened the binder. "Then we can proceed efficiently." She pulled out the first section, placed photos on the table, the calendar, 73 red X's, green highlights, blue marks, annotations covering 14 months. "This is a timeline," Rachel said. 14 months of documented deception. Each red X represents a confirmed lie. Each green highlight represents a financial withdrawal from the minor child's college fund matched to affair-related expenses. Each blue mark represents a parenting responsibility abandoned. Douglas looked at the photos, said nothing. Rachel continued, "We have 47 audio recordings of Mrs. Harper engaged in affair conversations while operating her vehicle, a vehicle insured under the marital policy and often used to transport the minor child. These recordings were obtained legally via a voice-activated device placed in a vehicle co-owned by Mr. Harper. She placed a USB drive on the table. I can play samples, or you can review them at your convenience. Your choice." "That won't be necessary," Douglas said quietly. "We also have comprehensive financial documentation." Rachel placed bank statements on the table. $23,700 withdrawn from the minor child's $529 college savings account over a 6-month period. All withdrawals made in person by Mrs. Harper. All withdrawals matched to affair-related expenses, hotels, restaurants, travel. She placed credit card statements next to the bank statements. Additionally, marital credit card charges totaling $17,400 for hotel rooms, spa packages, and romance-related expenses, all while Mrs. Harper claimed to be attending business conferences that... She placed printed emails next to the credit cards. We've confirmed she was never registered for. Douglas was no longer looking at his notes. He was looking at Jessica, who was crying. Silently, tissues crumpled in her hands. Rachel wasn't finished. "We have a burner phone seized with Mrs. Harper's knowledge during discovery, containing 2,847 text messages between Mrs. Harper and her affair partner spanning 13 months. She placed screenshots on the table, not all of them, just key ones. "And we have Mrs. Harper's personal journal, retrieved from the marital home, containing entries that document..." Rachel flipped to a page she'd marked, "Premeditated plans to falsely accuse Mr. Harper of emotional and physical abuse should her infidelity be discovered." Specifically, April 15th, 2024, Mrs. Harper wrote, and I quote, "If I say he was controlling, maybe even physical once, maybe when he was drunk, who would they believe?" The room went very quiet. Patricia, the mediator, looked at Jessica, then at Douglas. "Mr. Thompson, would your client like to respond to any of these allegations?" Douglas was reading the journal entry, his jaw tight. "We'd like to caucus," he said finally. "Of course, but before you do..." Rachel reached into the binder one more time. She pulled out a plastic sheet protector. Inside was Ethan's drawing. She placed it on the table, slid it to the center. White construction paper, 9 by 12 inches. Red crayon title, "When Mom is Happy." The blonde woman, the tall man, both smiling. And in the corner, The small blue figure in the window, watching, alone. Jessica looked at it, made a sound, half sob, half gasp. Douglas looked at it, closed his folder. "We'd like to caucus," he said again, quieter this time. Rachel nodded. "Take your time." Patricia stood. "We'll give you the room. 15 minutes?" Rachel and I stepped into the hallway. She closed the door behind us. "That went well," she said. "The drawing?" "The drawing ended it. I've done this for 15 years. When opposing counsel closes their folder before mediation even starts, it's over. They have nothing to argue. No defense. No counter-narrative. Just nothing." I looked through the small window in the door. Could see Jessica. Head in her hands, shoulders shaking. Douglas was talking. Low, serious. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not vindication, not even relief. Just tired. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now they'll come back with an offer. Probably uncontested divorce. She waives spousal support. She agrees to repay the college fund, and she accepts whatever custody arrangement we propose." Rachel looked at me. "What do you want, Daniel, in terms of custody?" I thought about Ethan. His drawing. His question. Did I do something wrong? "I want primary custody. She gets supervised visitation until she completes therapy. Maybe unsupervised after 6 months if the therapist signs off. I want the college fund restored in full. I want the house. And I want a clause that if she ever makes false accusations about abuse, she forfeits all parental rights. Permanently." Rachel smiled. Done. 15 minutes later, we were back in the room. Douglas spoke first. "My client accepts full responsibility for her actions. She agrees to Mr. Harper's terms regarding custody, financial restitution, and asset division. She asks only for one concession, that the details of this mediation remain confidential for the minor child's sake." Rachel looked at me. I nodded. "Agreed," Rachel said, "on the condition that Mrs. Harper also agrees to ongoing therapy and parenting classes before unsupervised visitation is restored." "Agreed." Patricia, the mediator, looked between us. "Mrs. Harper, do you confirm your agreement to these terms?" Jessica looked up. Her face was destroyed, red, swollen. "Yes," she whispered. "And Mr. Harper?" "Yes." Patricia nodded. "Then we'll draft the agreement. You'll both review and sign. I'll file it with the court. Barring any complications, you should have a final decree within 6 weeks." She stood, extended her hand to both of us, professional, neutral, but when she shook my hand, she held it a moment longer, and she said, quietly, "You protected your son. That takes strength." I nodded, couldn't speak. Rachel packed up the evidence binder, all 3 inches of documentation, 14 months of proof. We walked out together. Jessica stayed behind with Douglas. In the parking lot, Rachel stopped. "Daniel, you did the right thing. Every step. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." "I know." "Do you? Because there are going to be people, friends, family, strangers on the internet if this ever gets out, who say you were vindictive, that you should have just talked to her, that you should have forgiven and moved on, that documenting everything was controlling or manipulative or..." "Rachel." "Yes? I protected my son. That's all that matters." She smiled. "Good. Now go home. Hug Ethan. Start healing." I did. 3 weeks later, April 2024. Ethan was drawing at the kitchen table. He'd been drawing a lot since the divorce papers were filed, since I'd sat him down in age-appropriate terms and explained that Mom and Dad wouldn't be married anymore, that he'd live with me, that he'd see Mom on weekends once she finished some grown-up homework with a therapist. He'd taken it better than I'd expected. Or maybe he'd already known. Maybe he'd been preparing too in his own 8-year-old way. "What are you drawing, buddy?" I asked. He looked up, smiled, that smile I hadn't seen in months. "It's a surprise. For you." "Can I see it when you're done?" "Almost done." He added a few more crayon strokes. Then he picked up the paper, studied it, nodded to himself. Okay, now you can see. He handed it to me. Standard construction paper, same size as the other one, but this title was different. Blue crayon, careful letters, my dad, my hero. The drawing showed two figures, a tall man and a small boy, both smiling, holding hands, standing in front of a house, our house, I realized. He'd drawn the blue shutters, the red door, the oak tree in the front yard. No one else in the picture, just us. My throat closed. Ethan, this is beautiful. Do you like it? I love it. I wanted to show that it's okay, that we're okay, just us. He paused, looked down. Is that okay? That it's just us? I knelt down, put my hand on his shoulder. Buddy, look at me. He did. That's more than okay. That's perfect. And you know what? I'm going to put this drawing right above my desk where I can see it every day because it's going to remind me of the most important thing. What's that? That I have you and you have me, and that's everything. He hugged me hard. The kind of hug that kids give when they're trying to hold on to something good, something safe. Dad? Yeah? Did you protect me this whole time, even when I didn't know? My vision blurred. I held him tighter every single day. He pulled back, looked at me with those hazel green eyes, smiled. I know. That evening, after Ethan was asleep, I went to my office. The calendar was still in the closet. 73 red X's, a map of betrayal, a timeline of lies. I took it down, folded it carefully, put it in a file box labeled Harper V, Harper Final. Then I took Ethan's new drawing, my dad, my hero, and I pinned it to the corkboard above my desk, right where I'd see it every morning. Next to it, I placed the first drawing, When Mom is Happy. Not to punish myself, not to remember the pain, but to remember the journey, from that small blue figure in the window to the smiling boy holding his father's hand, from alone to safe, from watching to living. On my desk, there was still one more thing to handle, the old family photo, the one from our trip to Cape Cod 3 years ago, Jessica, Ethan, and me smiling on the beach. Back when I believed we were happy, I picked it up, studied it for a moment, then I opened my desk drawer, placed it face down, closed the drawer. Not because I hated her, not even because I was angry anymore, but because that version of us didn't exist. Maybe never did. And the version of me who would have stayed, who would have forgiven without accountability, who would have chosen peace over protection, who would have trusted without verifying, that version didn't exist anymore either. I'd become someone different, someone who understood that silence isn't weakness, that patience is a weapon when wielded with purpose, that trust but verify isn't cynicism, it's wisdom, someone who knew that the strongest thing you can do is protect the people who can't protect themselves, even when it costs you everything else. My father was right. Trust but verify. He said it about houses, about materials, about making sure the foundation was solid before you built something that mattered. But it applies to people too. Trust them. Hope for the best. But always verify, because hope alone doesn't build a life, and blind trust doesn't protect the innocent. I looked at Ethan's drawing, at the two figures holding hands, and I thought, this is what I protected, this moment, this relationship, this future for Ethan. Every decision, every silent night, every recorded lie, every documented betrayal, all of it, for this. And I'd do it again. Not because I'm vindictive, not because I wanted revenge, but because my son deserves a father who protects him, who sees danger coming and doesn't look away, who stays silent not from weakness but from strength, who builds a case not for punishment but for safety. Ethan deserves that, and now he has it. If you've ever rebuilt after betrayal, if you've ever been the person someone protected or the person who did the protecting, I want to hear your story. Share it below. Because here's what I've learned. We're not alone in this. The people who choose us, who fight for us, who stay quiet until they can fight loud. Those people are everywhere. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Maybe someone who's on day 1 of their own 414-day journey, who just found the first red X, who's wondering if they're crazy for documenting, for preparing, for protecting. Tell them you're not crazy, you're careful. And careful is how you save the people who matter most. The new drawing hangs above my desk now. The old family photo sits face down in a drawer, both exactly where they belong.